Hi guys, how are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're fine. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Josephine. If this is your first time to click onto this channel, please don't make it your last. Consider subscribing and join this amazing family. And thank you so much for clicking onto this video. You have been here, you have subscribed to my channel. This is not your first time. Welcome back to this amazing video, guys. I'm excited. I'm so excited. I love YouTube, to be honest. I love YouTube. This is just, it is my hyping place. Thank you so much, guys, for the new subscribers, those who have joined the family. Thank you so much. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate all of you. I've seen the numbers moving and I'm so grateful. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I really do appreciate you, and I have an interesting video to share with you guys today. So welcome, sit back and enjoy. So yes, guys, by the title, as you have seen, I want to talk to us about the reasons why God made it clear to me that I wasn't supposed to be dating, and when I stopped dating, like when I was like, this is the end, I am not doing this. I took the responsibility to act on the instructions of God. So yes, guys, let's get right into this. It was back in 2019. I was in my second year of university, and I was in a relationship. And if you've been here for quite some time, you have seen or you have watched my video. I did a video on how dating young almost destroyed me, if I'm not wrong. How dating young almost destroyed my life. And today I just want to go into when now it became so clear that God wanted me to stop dating. Like, he made it so clear to me, and I saw it so real, and he helped me to come to that place where I understood and decided to take responsibility. So yes, guys, it was in 2019 while in my second year of university. And God made it clear to me, and I want to also make it clear. At times, you know, when we say that God spoke to us or God made it clear to me, at times God may speak to you through people emphasizing. Maybe your pastor may emphasize something, or someone that is serious in God can advise you. Or at times through prayer, God places that thing on your heart so much, and you feel like it is continuous, it is not going away, and it is like God is pushing your heart. To me, God worked in all these three ways. He used people, himself, he made it clear to me, and he made it clear through many signs and many things that I came to a point where I was like, this is something that God wanted me to do. So I was in a relationship, and we had our clear boundaries. We had made it clear that this relationship is meant to lead to marriage. So we thought, and so I remember I knew that this was a relationship that I would guard till marriage, and I knew that what I was required to do, I wasn't supposed to engage in sex before marriage. So that was very clear to me, and even to my partner at that time. We were so clear about it, and we were willing to do that and to observe the boundaries of what we are required to do by God, not to engage in sex. And so I was in this relationship for quite some time, some months, and I promise you, the guy was good. He was everything nice. There was nothing wrong about him. I didn't see any reason why we wouldn't go till marriage. And until the point where God placed it on my heart, and through many, people, speaking to me, not even to me directly, but also just my pastor. We were having a series of, youth meetings, and this thing was so clear that you are not required to date. Like, every single time we used to attend these meetings, our pastor used to say that you are not supposed to be dating. Dating is not allowed, and he gave us the reasons why we are not supposed to date: because most of you will get hurt, because most of you will not sustain the relationship for too long until you mess up. Because he understood that the body, you know, this body has many things, and you may not be able to sustain a relationship for quite long. So there were many reasons that were being given as to why we were not supposed to be dating. And I remember this thing really disturbed me, because I was like, I love this guy, and I made up my mind, and I promised him that this is something that you are meant to do for life. And so I remember it was so persistent, and every time, you know, I would, you know, just try to push it back. I was like, no, we will make sure that we do it the God way. We will make sure that we we'll make sure that we just obey the instructions of God as regarding, you know, relationships. But every single time I used to feel like I'm walking in disobedience, because God was speaking to me and I wasn't acting, even though there was nothing wrong with the relationship, nothing wrong with, I felt, what we were doing, because we had made it clear that we were not going to have sex till marriage. I still felt that there was an aspect of disobedience, because God had made it clear that He didn't want me to be dating. And our pastor had also really emphasized on the reason of not to date. And so I remember it came to this time where I felt like, now when God gave me clear reasons why He didn't want me to be dating, and there are 3 of them, I'll be getting right into them. And God really put it on my heart that, Josephine, I don't want you to be dating. And through these 3 reasons, God managed to convince me that I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship. Okay, He didn't even say that the guy was bad, but He made it clear that if this guy is meant to be for you, then you will come back together at the right appointed time. And if he's not meant for you, He will find his person and go, or you will find your person and go. But the point was that God did not want me to be in that relationship at that time. And come to think of it, I was in my 2nd year. Most likely the approximate time when we would get married will be after 5 years. Yeah, because I think at that point is when I'll be, you know, done with school, and I have organized my life, hopefully. That is what I thought. And so I thought about it. 5 years was quite long. And even though we had made up our minds that we will stay till marriage, to be logical, it doesn't seem quite real. Yeah, to be a bit logical. And so I weighed all those options, and I was convinced that, yeah, what God was telling me to do was what I was required to do. And so I approached this guy and told him that we have to end the relationship. Of course, it was painful, because there had not been any argument, there had not been any reason as to why we will break up. We had no issues at all. I loved the guy, and he loved me too, so we thought. And there was no reason, and so that really made it hard. Even when I went to break up with him, he couldn't understand, and I really felt bad that I hurt him, because that wasn't my will, that wasn't something that I foresaw. But also, one thing to help you know, guys, at times God may give you instructions that may not be appealing to you or the people around you, but one thing to observe is obedience. Just obey God. Just obey God, and He will give them the grace to go through that, you know, that season or whatever you may be required to do. He will give them the grace to abide by it. And so I remember I cried too. I felt broken, because I didn't know how I was going to survive. I mean, this was a nice guy, so I didn't know like how God, this was a hard thing to do, but that was also a test of I think my relationship with God and the level of my obedience. Yeah, so it was a test of obedience, because I was like, it is okay, God, I'm doing this because it is you who has said. And even though I love this guy, I'll let him go, because I honor you, and I am willing to go it your way, do it your way, and to submit to you as you lead me. So guys, yes, at times it may be hard to, you know, help the people around you to understand. But most of the time, when you receive an instruction from God, just abide by it. Like, just do what God is instructing you to do, as long as you're convinced that that is God and that is the right thing to do. Those people may come to understand later. They may get people who, let's say in case of marriage, they'll get someone who is maybe better than you, well suited for them, or maybe you may come up, you may end up together later, but God may have saved you from so much. So guys, yes, that is what happened. I made up my mind. I remember my friends were like, how can you do that? This guy, like, what? They were not understanding me, but I alone knew what God had instructed me to do, and so I quit that relationship. And at times, definitely the devil will not just allow you to, like, take it, and that is why you will face so much opposition at that time. But remain sober to the instructions of God. Don't be intimidated by the devil. As long as you have the instructions, the trials that come your way are just coming to, try to deviate you from what God has instructed you. But remain focused, trust God. And so let's get into the three main points that God made it clear to me that He wanted me to stop dating. And number one was purity. Yes, guys, as I said, we knew that we were not going to, or we didn't want to. We can't know what lied ahead of us. We can't know what would have happened. But our desire was that we were not to engage sexually till marriage, because this is the instruction of God. And so, well, God made it clear to me that for purity's sake, Josephine, I don't want you to be in a relationship. And one thing that God opened me up to, the fact that purity is not just about sex. Purity is about your mind. Purity is about your thoughts. Purity is about your words. And purity is also about your other actions apart from sex. Because you will kiss, you will hug, you will make out. All those things are not purity. And if you are to walk with this guy for 5 good years, you can't promise me that you will avoid all these things. And wow, that was quite clear, because to be honest, we are human beings of flesh and blood. If you love someone, you will want to be, expressive. And so that was quite clear. God made it clear that He wanted me to embrace purity and in my work. And so being in a relationship, engaging in dating and all that wouldn't really afford me that. And I was convinced because I also had the desire to embrace purity as a young person, as I had made up my mind to quit my former life. I had wanted to walk in purity, and now God had moved me from a point of not just sex, but this every other aspect of purity that He wanted me to observe. And so it was quite convincing for me to quit that relationship if I really wanted to walk this life of purity. And so guys, that was one reason. If you really want to observe purity, you want to have boundaries in terms of dating is not something that you can sustain. And because most of the time dating has no boundaries, dating has no accountability, because no one knows. You are just trying it out, and this guy may not even be sure. In some cases you are not sure, you're trying it out. And so it's not something that is so clear. It's not something that you can be accountable to someone, like, let's say maybe I may not be accountable to my pastor, who will be walking me through that journey and helping me to observe those boundaries of purity. And so guys, that was so clear to me that it was reason enough for me to quit the relationship and to stop dating from my life. And so another point, number 2, was that God wanted my trust. God wanted me to trust Him. I remember when our pastor used to talk to us, he used to help us understand that you can't tell God, I have faith in you for a good marriage in future, for a good life or a good marriage, yet you have something that you have kept aside for you. Like, there's no way you can say that, God, I trust you for a spouse, yet you are having some relations down here. You are trying to work things out your way, this other side. That does not show trust. That does not show faith in God. And so God made it clear to me that he wanted me to trust him with my marriage. That specifically, he made it so clear. And that is one thing that was so clear to me, that I want you to trust me with your marriage. And I remember it wasn't easy, but I knew that was God speaking. This is a big God. There is nothing that God can't do. There is nothing so hard for God. There is nothing that God can't say something and still fail me. And God is the one who instituted marriage. In the Bible, he's the one who authored marriage. If he has said that, trust me, Josephine, trust me with your marriage. You may not know who you will marry. You may not know, but I am telling you to trust me with it. What does it mean to trust? That you leave everything. You forsake every other thing. You don't try to work things out yourself. You allow me to do it. You trust me that I can give you a good spouse. You trust me that I can give you that thing that you want. And so, guys, that was a huge test for me, to abandon someone that I thought treated me so well, someone that I thought loved God, because he also feared God. And at times you can defend yourself with the fact that, God, but this person knows you, this person is born again, but is it what God wants for you? Is the person who God wants for you? That is the question. And so that was so clear to me that God wanted me to trust him. And I remember he made it clear to me that if he's for you, then you'll have him. If he's not for you, then yours will come. And so it was a matter of trust. And so me deciding to quit and trust God was proof that I trusted God. And so I had to prove that I trusted God. And definitely I stopped, because I didn't date. I stopped that relationship, and I made it clear from that point that, God, I want to trust you with my marriage, because you are the one who has told me that I should trust you. I should allow you to just do it for me, because sorry guys, my nose is blocking, but yeah, it is you who knows what is good for me. And so I really didn't want to gamble with my future. One thing about me, I wanted a good marriage which would serve the purpose of God. That was so clear. And so I didn't want to have back and forth with God. I had to risk it. Man, me leaving that relationship was a huge risk, because to me, I thought that I wouldn't get better than that guy. And he was a good guy, and I respect it, and I wish him well wherever he is. And so it was out of trust that I decided to quit that relationship and decide to, God, all my eggs are in your basket. I have no other. At times we say, I'm not in a relationship, but you are these talks we are in with people, you are in small talks with people, you are leading people on, all those things. Even when you are not in a relationship, that is what when I made up my mind that I wasn't going to date. I was putting those boundaries that I was not going to do this. And that was my intention from the start. When I made it clear that, God, I'm quitting this relationship. I made it clear that I'm not going to engage even in these small talks with people. And I was willing to submit to God and just allow God to lead me and give me what was best for me. And as I made it clear, guys, trials may come, but your focus, from the moment you receive the instruction, let your focus be on God. The devil will not quit. The devil will not try to come, deviate you, but your focus has to still remain on God. I had to fight my own battles, but one thing that was clear, I ended up to that point, and God knew my heart from the moment I quit that relationship and decided that, God, it was you. He knew that he had my heart. He knew that this girl is willing to trust me with her marriage. So guys, point 2 is trust. You want to trust God, and when you trust God, you can't have a plan B. That is not trust. That is not faith in God. The Bible says that faith is the substance of something that you hope for and the evidence of something that you do not see. You just hope for it. You just hope that God will give you a good man. You just hope that God has good intentions towards you, even though you can't see. But if you are seeing, if you have someone in your life, that is not trust, that is not faith, that is not hope. And so guys, that was the other reason God made it clear for me. And if you are at that point that God is talking to you, that He wants you to stop and focus on Him, please trust God. He is faithful. And one of the things I've come to see, that when God gives you an instruction, He will give you grace. Guys, I have enjoyed grace. I have enjoyed so much grace living for me, and just trusting God to, do it for me. I have been peaceful, I've been rested, I have not been desperate. Those moments where I was trying to figure things out, I was desperate. I was very desperate. But God brought me to this point where desperation was really not a part of my life. I wasn't desperate for a man because I knew that God had promised, God had said He'll give me a person. So a man who was well fitted for me. So I really trusted God, and I wasn't desperate. I wasn't desperate. I knew God was going to give me the best. Yes, guys. And I believe, because I trust God, He is faithful. So guys, another last point that God gave me was that He wanted me to give Him undivided attention. Guys, to be honest, you can't be dating and be one-hearted, single-hearted with God. No way. Because dating are a distraction. Dating are a distraction. There's just the way, you have to give attention to your guy. You have to, attend to them. You will miss them. You want to talk to them. And most of the time, some talks may not really afford us that single-heartedness towards God, that oneness towards God. And God made it clear that it was time for me to date God. Yeah, it was time for me to go on dates with God. It was time for me to interact with God as a person. Know me for me, like for you. Not that I'm praying and praying for the other party. No, me knowing God for me, allowing God to work on me, allowing God to just address some issues in my life for me. And yes, guys, so God wanted me to give Him undivided attention, and I can say we have had a good time with God. In my singlehood, we have had the best moments with God. He has become my best friend. I have learned how to depend on Him, how to trust Him in my low moments. Relationships are deceitful, because when you have someone, when you are low, you'll go to that guy and tell him, Aki babe, I'm low, But when you know that it is only you and God becomes your date. God becomes your man. And that is the relationship I've been able to create with God, that He was my only person. He was my only go-to. He was my only run-to. When things were hard, when things were tough, I didn't have a shoulder to lean on but God. And that was what God wanted for me in that season of singlehood, and that I have achieved. And now I'm at a point where even with a relationship, I have a strong bonded relationship with God, that a man cannot now take the place of God. It is well established. We have a bond with Him, and it is lovely, guys. It is beautiful. I am enjoying my relationship with God, to be honest. God is beautiful, guys. You want to date Him. You want to be single towards Him. You want to allow Him to be your only shoulder to lean on, to be your only go-to. Yes, guys. And one thing also so beautiful, God has helped me to know me. God has helped me to understand me, because He created me. At times when you are in relationships, you may not know you. You need to have time with you also to date yourself, to know your likes, your dislikes, to know your boundaries, what what doesn't appeal to you. You know, I have enjoyed setting boundaries. I have enjoyed being on my own. I have enjoyed having my me time, going on my me dates, doing my own things, pursuing my own dreams. Also, it has afforded me time to figure out the direction of my life, what I want to do, how I want to raise my family, what kind of parent I want to be, what kind of spouse I want to be, what kind of friend I want to be, and yes, what kind of child of God I want to be. Yes guys, so it has been beautiful. That is my story. I stopped dating and I made it clear to God that the next relationship that He would give me, I will start with it from a point of accountability, and yeah, just doing it in light. Yes, in light and with leadership, with guidance and trust. I trust God that it will be a relationship of purity, where I shall embrace purity in every aspect of it, not just sex, but every other aspect of purity that God requires me to. And yes guys, so yeah, and it has been so gracious. When God gives you an instruction, it will be scary from the start because you don't know what you'll do it, but just surrender to God guys. Just release yourself to God and He will help you. This is so long guys, but I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learned something from it. Please subscribe if you haven't, like my content, and share it guys. Share to your friends, share. We want to grow this channel. Please subscribe. Just subscribe if you haven't. Just subscribe. It costs you nothing, literally nothing, to support my dream. Subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends to tell their friends to subscribe to the channel. And I love you so much guys. I hope this is helpful, this is impactful, and yes guys, see you in our next video. Bye.